Spooky friends, we have a special treat for you today. I have Courtney from Haunts with me. How you doing,
Hi,
Courtney?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, pleasure's mine. So before we get into Dairyland Frights and everything like that, I want you to tell my fans a little bit about Haunts, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So, Haunt's podcast is a narrative style podcast for the most part. I do have guests and friends come on from time to time to share stories on a more conversational base. But for the most part, I write out a narrative style piece and then tell a ghost story from a more, I don't want to say like, it is a skeptical perspective. I like to look at both sides of the argument. But I'm also
Sure.
definitely a believer. So I kind of try to keep myself accountable with looking at both sides of things while still telling a scary story or like a spooky legend. You can find me on social media. I have a Twitter and a Instagram account, which is just at Hauntscast. Or you can find me on just on the internet at hauntscast.com. And just a little bit about myself. I've been kind of independently working as a paranormal researcher. I've had like odds and end jobs in the background as well, but my main like focus has been paranormal research for, if my memory serves me correctly, like 8 years. I was trying to do the math the other day, and I'm like, it's somewhere in that like 7, 8 year
Sure.
range. I'm
Right.
not the best at math. I'm not gonna lie. So, don't quote me on that, but coming up on almost a decade now. Oh, I just
Wow.
got an email. Sorry about that. Um, yeah, so for about 7 or 8 years, I've been working as a paranormal researcher, kind of digging into different like urban legends and paranormal stories,
Hmm.
to kind of try to make sense of it all.
Yeah.
If any of your listeners have heard of me, or you and I have talked, I've had a lot of experiences just throughout the years that I've been trying to make sense of. And that kind of led me down this path of paranormal research and paranormal investigations. So yeah, that's kind of my background in this field.
That is awesome. So Courtney has a little bit of a problem. Maybe you can help her listeners.
Ooh.
She's getting locked out of her house by she believes an entity.
Mm,
Is that
mm,
correct?
yeah, I don't know what it is. It's I there's a lot to this house and just to my own like history. I've spoke about it in passing on various different people's podcasts as well as my own. Um, but yeah, so this house specifically has just kind of a weird history to it. Um, I don't want to like triangulate to where I live, but
Right.
it
Yeah.
has a yeah, it has a connection to an unsolved murder in my town, in southwestern Montana. Nothing happened here, like just to, I don't know if I'd be able to like mentally handle that, just knowing that like some
Oh,
sort of
sure.
tragedy happened. But this house does have a connection to an unsolved murder in my town. Um,
Mm.
so there's a part of me that believes that it might be the victim, unfortunately.
Oh boy.
But also I have just always had paranormal experiences, so who's to say that it's just not something else coming in and
Right.
out? And then I was telling a friend of mine the other day that recent revelation that I came across is, I don't know if you've brought this up on your show at all, but I've spoken about it kind of in passing here and there on the internet, where two mirrors facing each other can create a portal. And the previous
Ooh.
owner
No.
of my house, the one who owned it, in between that event happening and me, so he isn't involved in like the crime itself at all in any capacity,
Okay.
but he put in these mirrors in my kitchen, in like the kitchen window, so they're facing one another. So I'm
Okay.
like, that might be a portal. Just the house in
Ah.
general, as well as just myself researching the paranormal all the time, and then my husband
Yeah.
is not so he's more skeptical than I am, but he's intrigued by it, and I think the energy that we have
Yeah.
together can maybe invite stuff in.
Yeah.
um yeah, essentially there's something here, we don't know where it came from, and we're still kind of trying to research and figure that out. But yes, it does lock me out of the house from time to time. So if you guys have any feedback on how I can fix that, please let me know.
Yes. So, dairylandfrights@gmail.com. Let me know.
Yeah.
Courtney, is there an email at
Mm,
Hans
yeah.
that they
So
can
you
maybe
guys,
send you?
yeah, you guys can contact me. It's just contact@hauntscast.com. And that'll just come straight to my, like, personal inbox, to be honest. But also, I think that if you go onto my website, there's a contact page and you can just type a message there and it'll also come to my email, whatever's easier. But yeah, if you guys know of any solution for a spirit that locks me out, or if you guys want to tell us about your personal stories,
Yes, please,
yeah, for
please,
real, because
yeah,
that's my favorite to like hear people's like, obviously I love all ghost stories, but to hear about
yeah.
people's personal accounts, I think is really
Love, love.
fun.
And
So,
don't be scared too. Me and Courtney are not going to make fun of you. We're probably
oh
going to
yeah.
believe you. We're going to give you guys our opinion.
And just advice, hopefully. I mean,
Advice
out of
too.
the
Yes.
amount of time that I've spent just in this world, and like, I don't want to say it's pointless knowledge, but it's definitely not like an area of expertise that most people go into. So hopefully there's some good that can come out of all of the information that I have stored in my mind about ghosts and spirits and the other side. So,
Yeah. So, just before we get into my little fun story here, I did a episode with Courtney
hmm,
on a haunted, I would say Western ghost town. I wouldn't say that,
yeah,
but it was really interesting. Can you give a little tease of that? So
yeah.
when this comes
So
out,
when this comes out, it'll be out like I want to say a weekish later, 2 weeks later, on over on my channel. And it's about a small mining township in southwest Montana that has a kind of a sad ghost story,
oh, very
but
sad.
also we talk about serial killers and obviously talk about ghosts and just kind of like the history of the town itself. So if you're into like this sort of kind of old country western like
Mm,
cowboy vibes, definitely go check it out. Or if you're just like interested and you love John and I, go for it because it's. I think we had a really good time on that episode. I'm really excited to put it
yes,
out.
we talked more than we had some really good sidelights. So
Oh yeah, oh
talking
yeah.
about personal stories too. So it is awesome. So, Courtney, what I'm going to do here is just to let you guys know, Courtney does has no idea what
Yeah,
I'm going to ask her. Okay, so this is a surprise. All
this is
right?
off the cuff.
Yeah. So, Courtney, have you ever heard of the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio?
I don't think so. I'm really
Okay.
excited though.
Okay.
It's
This is
it's
awesome
not a
because I
penitentiary, is it?
yes, it is. They called it
Oh,
a
okay. Maybe I have.
reformatory because they didn't want to be politically incorrect,
Okay.
which you'll find out they're politically incorrect. Um,
Oh. Well, honestly, as
so,
most haunted jail or like prisons are, um,
mm,
mm,
wait till you hear this.
yeah.
Wait till you hear this.
Oh
Now,
no.
you might know it. Do you watch movies? I imagine you watch movies, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Mostly scary,
Okay.
but this kind of I feel like falls into
Okay.
it.
Okay. Have you ever watched The Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah. Is this the
That's
same
the
place?
prison. That's the
Oh
same place.
my gosh. Okay, I'm
Same
very excited.
place. Also, Air Force One was filmed there, and Tango and Cash, one of my
Hmm.
favorite cop buddy movies, was Sly Stallone and Kurt Russell in the early '90s when they were all
Wow.
sexy and buff and everything like that. The ladies, I'm sure, like that. Um, and by the way, you can go to this reformatory today and visit it. I'll get into it and take the
Sweet.
Shawshank Redemption tour. So let's get the
How far
boring
away
stuff
is
out of
this
the
from
way.
me? Hold on a second. That's so cool. I feel like it can't be
Uh,
too far.
from from me, it's probably like 3 or 4 hours. From
Okay.
you, probably a little longer.
Yeah, probably a little longer, but I'm willing to travel for haunted
Yeah,
locations, just as like an aside. That's really cool. I'm definitely adding that
yeah.
to my list of places to see.
You will definitely add it after I finish today.
Sick.
So I got to get the boring stuff out of the way, like we always
Mm,
say. So my sources include the most haunted jails in America website, Mansfield Ghost Watch. So there's a ghost to it, obviously, in
sick.
Ohio. The Ohio State Reformatory Experience, which includes the Shawshank Redemption Tour. Ghost Adventures, because I love those guys because they're kind of goofy.
Hmm.
Eastern State Penitentiary, believe it or not, they have their own website. You can go on. I'll put the links in the show notes. And Reddit.
Sick.
So
Also, I appreciate
let's
you
get. Go ahead.
adding the like the sources. I really feel like that's important to
Mm,
take into account like when you're telling these stories. I list all of mine on my website. And like I was listening to, like I said, your show the other day, and I was just really happy that you listed the sources. So I want to thank you for doing that, because I hate it when people
oh,
are like they'll tell
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
all about it in their podcast, and then it's like, how do I look more into this? And
How
they
do I
don't tell
look?
me anything.
Right.
So for sure, thank you for
Exactly.
doing that.
It, absolutely. So Courtney, let's get spooky. Okay.
Okay, I'm
So
ready.
the the Ohio State Reformatory, over the course of 94 years, 154,000 inmates passed through the doors of it. Okay.
Jeez.
Now, if you go online, you can look at this. It's a gorgeous stone structure, Courtney, that looks more
Hmm.
like a castle than a prison.
I'm going to look
So
now.
take a look at it. I'll put pictures on Instagram, all that good stuff. So it was. This is what I love. This is the way prison should be. Nobody wants to go to prison, but whatever. Uh, so it
It
was
really
founded
does look like a
on.
castle.
It does. It's gorgeous.
It's really pretty.
Anyway, it's
Sorry.
very pretty. No, no, keep going. Uh, Founded as a holding for intermediate first-time offenders. The
Mm.
Ohio State Reformatory, also known as the Mansfield Reformatory. Remember, I didn't say prison or penitentiary. It was a
Hmm.
reformatory. Okay, so it was designed for rehabilitation in mind. So, in other words,
Okay.
maybe people who are drunk or whatever, right? It's just their first time offense.
So it kind of acts almost like as like a halfway kind of point in between,
Yeah,
like
kind
we're
of.
gonna try to get you back on your feet situation, or at least that's what the
Correct.
intention was. I'm assuming that didn't actually happen, but
Correct.
okay.
Correct. And I'll get into that, which is really cool. So you're right on, Courtney. You're so smart.
Thank you. I try.
Even today, its beautiful arches and bright brick exterior, like you said, makes the defunct prison appear, like I said, more like they said a mansion. Do you agree with that? I don't think a mansion, but a castle,
I
definitely.
think, yeah, it reminds me of like I don't even know how to explain it. It doesn't really look like a mansion because it has this like
Right.
giant
Yeah.
I guess if you took away like the tower in the middle, it would look
Yeah.
like a honestly kind of a modern like mansion that you would
Yeah.
see in like maybe Beverly Hills. But
Absolutely.
with the towers that it has in place, it really more to me looks like a small castle, like maybe you would see like for a
Yes.
lord in like
Absolutely.
the hills of England or something like that.
Hmm. Right. Right on. So
Hmm.
you're probably asking, why would they do that? Well, these design choices were purposeful and intended to
Mm.
inspire all those who enter its halls. So it was like hey, this is really like inspirational. This is, hey, let's see, myself getting better, right? Rather than the
Right. It's
prison
supposed to
nowadays,
kind of
like,
inspire the inmates to get
yeah,
back on their feet versus act like
yeah,
it's I mean it is I mean, if you're being sentenced there, it's obviously kind of like going to be a punishment, but they didn't want you to feel like that
yeah,
is what I'm assuming
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah,
kind of the intention there.
absolutely.
That's interesting.
Now, so, however, many died of disease like influenza, tuberculosis.
Oh
This
God,
is getting
yeah.
my mush mouth. Some went mad. Others hung themselves.
Oh my
And at
gosh.
least one inmate, this is crazy, lit himself on fire.
Why?
Just,
Oh my
uh,
lord.
you'll kind of find out why.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I'm teasing
That
you.
is
I'm
not what I
totally
was
teasing.
that is not what I was expecting you to say. Like when you're going through and you're kind of saying like the generic kind of like I hate to say but causes of
Mm,
death when you're in prison and then it's like one inmate lit himself on fire. That was not at all where I thought you were going with
yeah.
that. Oh my
Oh, it
gosh.
gets worse. It's worse.
Worse than
So
catching
outside,
yourself on fire?
oh yeah,
Oh,
oh
this is
yeah.
intense.
You wait. This just outside the reformatory stand 215 unmarked graves, a vivid testament to the harsh reality of prison life. So
So it's all
remember our. Go ahead.
for like inmates?
Correct.
Okay. Just
So
making
they
sure
didn't
I'm
even put
following.
the names. Yeah,
That's
they
really
didn't even put the
sad.
names. And, yeah, they just said, "Yeah,
Throw them
that
out
sucks."
there. I mean, that's
Yep,
kind of the same as my story, but at least we know
that's what
like
I was gonna say.
who they are now. There were only 5 of them though, so
Yeah, yeah.
that makes a little bit more sense.
So, yeah, absolutely. 215. That's a lot
Mm-mm.
of graves. Okay. So, prison life. So, Courtney, you're probably wondering, what is prison life like? I would love to go to prison, right, Courtney?
Maybe not the last half of that. I am interested to see what it's like there though. Don't want to go
Yeah,
and like check in for a long-term stay, but
yeah.
I'd be interested to learn more
Nobody
about
wants
it.
to. Nobody wants to. So this is really cool, and they do this today in prisons, which I'm not prison reformatory. That's a whole different podcast and a whole different thing. But anyway,
Hmm.
in this setting, inmates will learn practical trade. Believe this? I cannot believe this. Excuse me, such as engineering or plumbing. So when they got out, they actually could like, you
Do
know,
something.
you know,
Yeah.
do something.
That's awesome.
And that would, yeah, I it's so
At
cool.
least
And
in theory.
invest in
I'm waiting for it to get bad.
it's gonna get bad.
I know. I can
I'm
already
sorry,
tell.
folks. We're teasing this a little too, but they invest in skills meant to turn their lives around.
Hmm.
Duh, makes sense, right?
Right. Yeah, and
You
that's a great.
you made a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like
So
they like hurt anybody. Like you said, these are minor offenses,
no,
first time offenders.
minor offenses.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay.
So the system worked remarkably well in the initial years.
Hmm.
And here comes the big but, or however, I should say.
I feel like I know where
Compared
this is
to other
going.
reformatory facilities, convicts who finished serving their sentences at Mansfield were considerably less likely to be repeat offenders. So everything is working out, right? This is great. I'm
Cool.
learning a skill. I'm not a repeat offender. I'm getting on with my life. In fact, at one time, Mansfield boasted one of the lowest resentencing rates in the country as the former cons
Cool.
took advantage of their second chances in life. Right?
That's really
Why
cool.
don't we do this? Why don't we do
I
this?
mean, yeah, because
And
you have
you're,
to think
yeah.
too, like a lot of inmates will go and like get their college degree even in prison.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, I just think that's like really cool. Maybe not for people who like are genuinely evil, but like
Generally evil.
if you made a mistake like you said, and you're
Yeah.
overall this is your first offense and from
Yeah.
for the most part like your life has been like pretty
Yeah.
on the straight and narrow. I don't see why that would I kind
Yeah.
of like this.
Uh-huh.
Obviously not if you're
Yeah.
murdering people or like
Right,
genuinely like an
right.
evil monster, but
Yeah.
like if you're just making a
Definitely
mistake
not
one
murder.
time, let's go for this.
Yeah. Yeah. But here it comes, Courtney. Unfortunately, this
No.
system and its successes would not last. Due to the ballooning prisoner population in the United States, the Ohio State Reformatory idyllic rehabilitation structure could not continue. Its funding was cut. Okay, that's your first problem. And the
Yeah.
facility made its transition into a maximum security prison. So think about this, Courtney. It's just first time offenders, I don't know, drunk driving, whatever. Now you're next to a axe murderer, right?
Oh my
That is
gosh.
not good.
I will
Not
say
good at
though,
all.
like this happens, I feel like I don't want to say all the time, but it seems like there are these like I said, kind of halfway points of like, let's try to turn your life around. And they always get taken over by these maximum
Yeah,
security prisons. Like, there's another
yeah.
one. Is that what happened in Charleston? Or was that one always just maximum security?
Mm, I'm not sure on that one, but it could have been. Yeah, I'm not
I
really
feel like
sure.
this happens or happened
It,
frequently.
it
And
happens.
it's sad.
Yes, it does. It is
Oh,
very sad. So uh, this is the problem. This is so their funding's cut. Now you're having lunch with an axe murderer. It was never intended for this. Okay,
I'm
so
sorry. Can you imagine? You're having just like right there next to you is just like, you know, the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. Come
right,
on.
yeah, you're like some guy who bounced checks or had bad credit and like
Yeah.
I don't know, like something like that, and then you turn around and I ate people.
Oh God.
uh,
I'm gonna go over here.
what? Yeah,
I gotta go
thanks,
home.
dude. Um, so again, never intended for the. So, like I said, it's relatively harmless first-time offenders. Next to violent, unpredictable repeat offenders were added to the mix, and you can guess the next. A
Hmm.
bunch of tragedies happen. So,
And I'm assuming there
with
was probably a lot
riots,
of poor treatment or malpractice, I
oh
guess I
boy,
should say.
oh boy, you're gonna
All right,
hear
I'm buckling in.
it. So, yes, this is R-rated part of the podcast.
Hmm.
Frequent and limited space forced unheard of these of conditions where single occupancy solitary confinement cells was shared by, get this, 6 men at a time.
I've heard of this
So
place
like this,
before. I've heard of this place
yeah,
before. Now that we're getting into it, like
mm-hmm,
all of like the tragedies. Oh no.
yes.
Okay.
So fires would break out, guards were killed, men would take their own lives as the conditions in Mansfield quickly declined. Now,
Hmm.
here's something I just want to throw in here before we get to the spooky stuff because I can't. I thought it was like weird that this didn't happen sooner, but so all these terrible things: men are being killed, guys lighting themselves on fire, guards being killed, riots, you
God.
name it. Uh, it's horrible. So
Right.
somebody finally did a lawsuit, and it was coordinated by former inmates who aimed at the state of Ohio, and in the facility was closed by a court order in this isn't that too far ago, in 1990.
What?
So,
That was like
so
relatively modern
yeah,
history. Are you kidding?
yeah, exactly, exactly. And like I said, I will put on the website and different links in there that you'll see like all this information about it. It's crazy. So remember, I told you, which is even weirder, is 5 movies have been filmed there: The Shawshank Redemption,
Hmm.
Tango and Cash, and Air Force One, The Last Castle, and there's one other one that I couldn't find that said filmed there. And again, like I
Please
said, you
tell me
can
they
tour
caught
prisons.
Paranormal Activity on camera.
So, Courtney, that's a great catch.
Thank you.
I couldn't
I'm very
find anything.
excited.
I wish they could. I didn't see anything. I really
Oh,
tried to
okay.
find stuff that like they were filming Tango and Cash, and there's a
Hmm.
shadow, or they're filming Shawshank. Although I did read where Tim Robbins, the star of Shawshank Redemption, and the other gentleman, I always forget his name. The black
Mm.
actor. He's a really good black actor, and I'm blanking
Is it
on him
Morgan
right now.
Freeman?
Morgan
Is
Freeman.
that
Thank you very
yeah?
much,
He's
Courtney.
the one who's in there, right? Okay.
Correct. So they
Yeah.
both said when they were like eating lunch, like they would just put them out in their trailers outside the prison,
Hmm.
but they'd be eating lunch and then they would feel like someone's watching them in their trailer. Like they would just be
Ooh.
like, "What?" And they were both laughing it off there because they both Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman do not believe in the paranormal, I guess. Maybe they
Mm.
do, but they laughed it off. They were like, it's just me from working all these hours and everything.
Yeah, I'm going
Now,
stir crazy in this prison.
yeah. And
Yeah,
they
that
were
makes sense.
filming 14, 16 hours a day. So imagine you're in this prison 14, 16 hours a day. I mean, it's going to get to you,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, it's
Um,
also, I gotta think it's physically dark in there. I mean, even with their like lights and stuff, if you walk away from the
mhm,
actual
mhm,
set, it's
mhm,
gotta be like kind of dark in there, you know?
mhm. Yeah. So, like you were saying, you want to go there. You might want to look this up because they have ghost hunts walks.
Hmm.
You can rent the place for special events, which I don't know why you do that, but okay. But there's a really cool thing. I'll put in the link, and I'll actually send this to you after the episode,
Thank you. This is
Courtney.
exciting.
It's called bloodprison.com. And what it
What is
is,
that?
it's a haunted prison, but the characters will scare the ever living you know what out of you. So it's a
Okay.
haunted prison experience. So it's like one of those, you walk into the haunted house and like a clown
Oh.
jumps out and goes, oh, and you go, and you know, things
Oh,
like that.
cool. So
These
it's like a
characters,
haunted house,
awesome.
like set up haunted house in a
Yeah,
haunted
kind of
location.
in the prison. In the
Sick.
prison.
I
So
will
you're
go to that.
actually
That sounds
in the
way up my
prison.
alley.
So anything, do you want to add? Do you have any more questions about some of the history before I get into the paranormal experiences?
Um, did they well, like you said, there's obviously a lot of malpractice there, and this is kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
R-rated part of the podcast, but
Yeah.
did they ever do anything that was like, I forget the name of the prison that did this, but they would do like water, like ice water baths and stuff like
Kind
that,
of.
or was it a little less stressful than that?
Well, I wouldn't say less stressful. I mean, people will be put in solitary confinement for a
Okay.
month. Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
and
terrifying.
given like bread and water
Yeah.
one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
So
and
like
I'll tell
something
you.
that can be,
Mm,
not that this, because to me this whole thing is very dramatic, but just you see a lot of people like doing, like when they're talking about these sort of prisons, there's like lobotomies going on. There's like the ice
mhm.
water kind of like not drownings, but the
Right.
they'll like make them get into like their like essentially freeze them to death and stuff like that. So I was just curious if there's any of that um that can kind of
Kind
attribute
of.
to the hauntings.
Kind of. I'll
Okay.
get into some stories here. So, paranormal
Sweet.
experiences. So, the ghosts of these violent and maltreated men are not easily silenced. Visitors and tour guides have been pushed and punched by
Oh my
unseen
gosh.
forces. And I'll get into some down here. I have some actual quotes where people were like, they're going up the stairs, and someone grabbed them and pulled them, and then they like fell down the stairs. And that's crazy.
Oh my,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
aggressive. I mean,
very aggressive.
I've had things like, because obviously, as we mentioned kind of towards the beginning, I have gone to like, my fair share of haunted locations. I've had things like tap me. I've had my
Mm.
like strands of my hair pulled, like something's trying to get my attention.
Oh,
But I've
okay.
never like, and I've heard of people being pushed. Obviously, that's like one. I feel like a common report when you go to a lot of haunted locations. I've
Yeah.
never heard of someone being full on punched. Like that
Neither
is
have I.
really
Bam.
intense. Because I mean, like that's a very distinct feeling. So is like
Right.
having your hair pulled or being pushed. But
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
to like a punch is like next level. First, like at least in my
It's next
mind,
level.
that's
Yeah.
intense.
Yes. So, as with other haunted location, many claims to feel, inexplicable chill while on the grounds. Additionally, witnesses have heard cell doors slam and seen dark apparitions. Well, you're gonna get that.
Hmm.
Now, we might have to cover this together sometime.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you the link to this woman, and when you look at it, you'll be like, "Oh my God! Well, how did I not hear this person?"
Okay.
And I'm the same way. So, even the road leading to the Ohio State Reformatory is haunted.
Oh wow.
Local legend suggests it's the ghost of Phoebe Wise, a notorious Mansfield hermit and eccentric, which I want to cover later. So I'm going to give you just a brief explanation of this woman. she supposedly had a treasure buried on her property and was
Cool.
tortured by these men to
Not
find
cool.
this treasure. Okay, and she actually kind of beat the crap out of the men.
Good for
And
her.
like, and then that's only the only beginning. Like men tried to marry her because they thought she was rich, and
Hmm.
she had like all this weird. She was a hermit, so people would like look at her and be like, oh, she's kind of strange. But to this day, they don't know if the treasure's real
That's what
or
I was
because
gonna
she would
ask.
say like she would go into town. This is what I love. She would go into town with a tiara on her head in a full like dress,
I love
high
her.
heels, and she'd walk into town and just be like la 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 la, like she's the royal queen. And that was just some of it. So I'm gonna send you that link. If maybe down the road you'd like to
Yeah,
do this with me,
I'm
uh,
intrigued.
see
Because
what you
my
think.
main
So
question is, why did they think she had the treasure? Obviously, we can get into that when we actually research it, but like,
give
why?
it to you.
And how did this legend
You'll
come to
find
be?
out.
That's
Do
awesome.
some if you have some time. Like I said, I'm gonna send this. You do some research. I'm telling you, Courtney, you'll flip out and be like, "Oh my god, I gotta do this." Anyway, so let's get into this.
Okay.
This is weird because the bloodiest single incident in the old prison's history actually occurred outside its walls. R-rated, by the way.
Okay.
In July of 1948, when the reformatory's farm boss, his wife, and his daughter were kidnapped and shot to death by two parolees bent on revenge.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so right outside the prison, these two guys escaped, and for some strange reason, I guess the farm boss had been mean to him because the prisoners would work on the farm, and this farm boss would be extremely mean and like beat him, I guess, stuff like that. So these two parolees, when they got out, that's the first thing they did. They killed the entire family.
That's like
That's the first thing they did.
I'm like speechless. Sorry, my dog's like freaking out right now. I that is awful. That
It
is
is awful.
genuinely just like, I mean, I guess like you can see like what their motive was, but to target like a
But
family.
still, why would you kill the daughter and the wife? Like they
Yeah,
had
why not go
nothing to
after
do with it.
him? Not that he should have
And
gone after anybody, but
well, yeah.
or I guess both of
So
them.
yeah. So a six-state manhunt for the so-called bad dog killer, speaking of dogs, ended in a
I'm so
shootout.
sorry. I'm muting my mic in between so that it doesn't like hopefully pick him up, but
So,
yeah.
so it
Anyways,
ended in a shootout. Ended in a shootout left Robert Daniels of Columbus, Ohio, in custody, and his partner James West dead. And this is a different era. So Robert
mhm.
Daniels, when he got caught, he said, "I'll get the chair." Once, and he just told police when he got caught, he goes, "I'll get the chair,"
Oh
and they
my
go,
gosh.
"Yeah,
Like he was
we can kill
volunteering for
you."
that?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, just kill me. I'm good. My life's
Oh my
over.
gosh.
I did what I had to do. Just
I got my
imagine that a
revenge.
person just, yeah, I got my revenge. I'm done. Kill me. Like really? So this is a story you might have heard of. This is
Okay.
probably the most famous one. So a year later, in 1950, disaster struck again. This time in the living quarters of the warden himself. The warden's wife, this is so weird, removing a jewelry box from a closet, dislodged a pistol from its hiding place, and when it hit the floor, the gun went off and killed her.
Oh my gosh. I haven't heard that story. That's like
That's, yeah,
that's like such a tragedy in the like I mean
yeah.
obviously all of this is a tragedy, but like just an accident like that. Wow.
Mm. And within the decade, even more bad luck. The warden, hard at work in his office, suffered a heart attack and died right
Oh,
then and
oh
there.
my god. Dang.
All this was, yeah, I know. It's just like, okay, what's going on here?
Well,
And all
something's
this
obviously
really,
targeting them.
yes, being that the gun, imagine you're sitting there and you're just like, oh, I go out today. I need some jewelry, and then a gun falls out of your closet, and just has the blind luck of landing perfectly and shooting you, killing you. I mean, that's insane to me.
I mean,
That's just
even number one, there would have to be like the safety. And who's to say maybe the gun didn't have one or maybe it wasn't on.
maybe
But
one.
for it to fall at the perfect angle, like out of all the places, to me
Exactly.
it would like hit your ankles and you'd be like
Mm-hmm. Right.
hurt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like that to me just
Not.
seems like the coincidence there seems like one in a
Mm-hmm.
100
Mm-hmm.
million chance.
Right. You
Like,
have a better chance of winning the lottery.
yeah, for real. That's terrifying.
So all this was nearly 40 years ago and more. And what people have said with the tour guides, they gotta remember this is a married couple, so
Hmm.
they hear a man and a woman talking, but it's too faint to understand,
Mm.
but it's too persistent to ignore. And so it they find that it's very chilling listeners. So imagine, you have an argument. Hey, honey, why didn't you get that done? I don't know. Yeah, and you're like, what are they saying? But I could hear them, and
It
they're
kind of reminds me of
perfectly.
like Charlie Brown. Like that's what, when they're like the
Wah,
teacher's
wah, wah,
talking.
wah,
That's what
wah,
I'm
wah. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm picturing. Obviously that's not the case cuz like I'm
yeah,
sure it's a lot spookier, but like that's what I'm picturing is like you can tell there's like something happening. You just don't know what it is and you're straining to hear, trying to
yeah.
figure it out and
Yeah, you're
decipher.
trying to.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, this is super. You got to ask your husband this. So they are forever locked in this endless conversation behind from beyond the grave.
Oh
So ask your
no.
husband, hey honey, if we died under mysterious circumstances and haunted this house, we're not going to sit here and like have this endless
Talk.
conversation that
Yeah.
nobody can. It's just weird to me. Like, what are they talking about? That's fascinating. Like,
Well, that's
what
kind
could
of
they be
going off
talking about?
the concept of like we spoke about it in the episode that we did over on my
Yeah,
podcast about the differences
yeah,
between residual and intelligent hauntings. What if they're
right,
just continuously having the same conversation over and over and over again?
right,
How
right.
boring of an afterlife could that be?
Oh, the
I hope
worst.
that's not the case, but
Yeah, I hope it's not even. So I am next, unless you want to bring up something else. Going to get into 8 most haunted sites at the
ooh,
reformatory.
let's go. I'm
So
excited.
let's go. So the first one, well, these are in no particular order, but
Okay.
the East Wing, first floor, toilet room, and East showers. Lately, and this is coming from, excuse me, most haunted sites at the reformatory. This is one of the ghost walk places
Cool.
that I want to tell you. So this is what they're saying. So this is when the ghost walks go on. Then they just kind of give you kind of a brief idea what's going on in each place. So lately, this area has been pretty good for experiences and evidence. Rarely do we have a night where nobody experiences at least a few shadow people down there.
I want
So
to go here so
that's
bad.
that's the funny thing. That's the
Rarely
thing.
you have a night. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's rare. And this is coming from the guides and the people who do the ghost walks, like I said.
Hmm.
So number 7, third floor or number 2, whatever.
We're
Whatever
counting
this is.
down
Third
actually
floor.
to the scariest one.
I guess so. I'm not sure, but okay. So first one was number 8. This is number 7. I don't know if they're in particular order, but they're still
Cool.
all really scary. So third floor, middle admin. This is the area that gets a lot of people. Gets to a
Just
lot. Excuse me. Gets to a
for
lot of people.
some context here, like the middle, are we talking about where and for the listeners at home, I'm sure you've looked at it on Instagram and stuff, but where the tower is that just for my visual clarity, is that where we're kind of
Yeah,
thinking?
kind of.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like the middle area where all the paperwork gets done and everything. Kind of right in that
Mm,
area.
okay.
So this makes total sense. So what they said, this is an area that gets to a lot of people, and they see shadow people. They hear audible voices, footsteps, and a feeling of not being alone are the
Ooh.
norm.
Ooh.
Yes, which
Can
makes
you
sense because
imagine?
this is a busy place.
Yeah,
People
I
are
guess
in and
that's
out,
true.
and yeah.
And people are kind of
So
coming and
this
going.
is
And
my
like you said,
favorite.
there's over what,
Yeah,
like, how many people were like, you know,
it was
I guess
over
staying here?
154. It was over 154,000 over the years.
Yeah.
So
So a
at
lot
one
of
time
people
it
in
was
and out.
thousands of people. Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
That does check out.
this is the one I'm going to. The first one. It's number 6. The
Okay.
sub basement.
Is that
So
where
the
they do
sub,
solitary confinement?
yeah, kind of.
I don't like it.
this this area has produced some pretty wild experiences and evidence. This area was even avoided when the building was still in operation. So this sub basement, when it was still in operation, people did not like going down there.
Yeah,
And
I
what
can
they
see
would
that.
experience is everything from getting punched, pulled, tripped, and feeling like someone is about to murder them.
Oh
Like
my
you
God.
get a you get like a feeling like, let's say you, like, I don't know, God forbid if this ever happens, but let's say you're out somewhere and you just go get a cup of coffee and some guy comes in with a shotgun. That feeling where you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is it.
Imminent
This guy's
death.
gonna
Yeah.
kill me. Yeah, that's the sub basement. That's where I'm going first.
That's where you want to go first. Honestly,
Absolutely.
I don't know. I've done some pretty wild stuff when it comes to like paranormal investigations. So I like to say like, no, that's scary. I don't know if I'd want to do that, but let's be honest, I probably would too.
I'm
Running
not
down there to see it.
I'm not saying I wouldn't scream like a little girl and run out of there.
Same.
I'm just saying.
But also then you can say that you've been there,
I've been,
you
yeah.
know? Like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm with you. I'd be
So
there with you.
awesome. Number 5 is the chapel. So this is duh. We know a
Hmm.
bunch of churches are haunted and stuff. I'm sure that's an easy one. This is funny though. The area's made many skeptics less skeptical. Okay.
Okay.
This is the funniest quote I've ever heard. Well, one of the funniest. Lately, the ghosts have been getting rather grabby up there.
In the church?
In the church.
Oh, Lord, that's
So
scandalous.
you're like, yeah, that's what I mean. So you're like sitting there, la la la, and someone's like grabbing areas they shouldn't grab, and you're like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, we're in a
That's
church.
I hate to say, but that's so funny to me. I mean, obviously don't want to be like touched by anything
No,
inappropriately,
but not
human
grabby.
or spirit,
Yeah,
like living person or spirit, but like it's the fact that it's in the church or the
mm-hmm,
chapel, I guess,
mm-hmm.
just makes it all the
Exactly.
more like, really? To me? Like, are you
Yeah,
serious?
come on. What are we doing?
Oh my
So
God, I
I
cannot.
didn't know I didn't know prisons have this, but I guess they have an attic. Okay, so the
Oh, I
west
didn't know they
attic,
had that either.
number four, the west attic. So number 5 is the chapel. Number 6 is the sub basement. Let's just say, and we got to work together on this, Courtney. See if we can find this person. Let's just say a very well-known paranormal celebrity had an experience up there and refused to go back in. I'm not going to say who it is. I'll just say that he grabbed his scarf and walked out.
Sorry.
Anything, grabbed his scarf and walked out. I'm like, who is a paranormal with a scarf? I don't know.
Do you know who it is?
No, I don't. That's why I'm
No?
asking you. Do you
Okay.
know who it is?
I don't, I mean,
Okay. All right.
grabbed his scarf and it's like a famous, like
It's
somebody like
a
on like Discovery Network or
well-known,
something.
probably. I don't know. I looked it up. I tried looking it up. I could not find anything.
I could not
So
tell you who that would be. Because like my initial
here's the
reaction was it's Zach Baggins because you said like that you got
yeah,
information from their show
yes.
or maybe one of his crew members, but I don't think any of them wear scarves. I mean,
Okay,
maybe they
all right.
do. I guess I've
Okay,
seen
so
Zach wearing his scarf before actually, but I really that doesn't sound like him. Not gonna lie, because normally he's the guy
so
who's like
yeah,
ready to like kind of I don't want to say antagonize it, but kind of
yeah,
push the
attack it.
envelope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. I thought
So
it was him.
dairylandfrights@gmail.com and haunts at, I'm sorry, haunts
Contact at
listed,
Haunts.
email.
Yeah,
Yeah.
contact
So
at Haunts
please,
Podcast or
either one,
hauntscast.com.
either one, if you know who the celebrity is, because Courtney and I would love to find
I don't, yeah, I can't think of anybody unless it was like maybe, and like, no shade to these people because I like them, but maybe like, I don't even know if they've been there, but the Project Fear team.
Yeah.
I know when it's like when they go to these colder places, I want to say that their camera guy maybe wears a scarf. And I know that they've had to take breaks from places, but I don't know if they've ever been there. So I couldn't,
Okay.
I don't know.
All
I
right.
couldn't tell you.
Well,
That's interesting.
dairylandfrights@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So
Send them an email,
admin,
let us know.
yes, please. Admin basement. This is hilarious. There are two entities down there. One is nice, Courtney. What other is
Okay.
not?
Oh, okay. They always seem to go hand in hand like that. They always do. One that's
Yeah.
like trying to warn you, and the other one that's trying
Yeah.
to scare you or worse.
Yes. So that was number 3. Number 2, the cell blocks east and west. I've seen these areas.
I can imagine
would
they're
be
bad.
me. This would be me. I have to say because I can get emotional sometimes. I've seen these areas bring grown men to tears, where they just what I was reading about where people have gone in this, and they just all of a sudden just feel sad and just
It's
like they
probably
just start
the energy
crying.
there. Like like we said earlier, you have to imagine like being somebody who, like you said, first time offender, made a mistake. Say, not that you should, and I'm not condoning this in any way, shape, or form, but say you had a little too much to drink and decided to drive home.
Yeah,
Big mistake.
right,
Something you shouldn't do. But
exactly,
that doesn't make you an
correct.
evil person. And then you're
No,
being
no,
put next to somebody who's like wielding an axe, murdering his family.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can imagine that's very sad to think that you had this opportunity to kind of turn your life
Hmm.
around, get a
Right,
degree even in engineering or something else, and
absolutely.
then have it be kind of taken away. Like I would be
Yeah,
heartbroken if that was
yeah.
like how my
So
life turned out.
yeah, so you're right on. Many murders and suicides have took place in these
Oh,
areas,
jeez.
like a lot. So,
Yeah.
so the number one
Mm.
is scary, spooky place in the Ohio State Reformatory, solitary confinement, aka
100%.
the hole.
Yeah. This is
So,
where I feel like happiness goes to die. Is the whole.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I'm holding on. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So many. This is the prison. They say inside the prison. So imagine that a prison inside a prison. How worse could it get?
I'm
This
assuming
is
there's no lights.
terrible.
There's no
No,
lights.
no,
There's no interaction.
nope,
Obviously, solitary
nope,
confinement.
nope.
Yeah. All right.
You so again, many men took their lives while in this. You basically, again, there was no light. You're stuck in this box within a box for it could be a month. The cockroaches are
Ew.
basically feeding on you. That could be your meal one day. What
Great.
stories in here where people would eat cockroaches? You would
Oh,
get it. Yeah, you would get if you were lucky. If you were lucky, a slice of bread and water that would have to last you anywhere from 2 to 3 days.
holy cow.
Yeah. Hmm.
That is like cruel and unusual punishment. You
Yeah,
know? I mean,
it
like
is. Yeah.
solitary confinement nowadays, isn't it? Just like you have a normal cell, you just don't have a cellmate.
It's still terrible, right?
I don't have. Oh my god. Okay.
I don't. We both of us don't want to be there. Let's just put it that way.
No one wants to be there. I mean,
No one wants to be
I'm
there.
scared of the dark. Like I'm not going to be down there.
No way. No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, I have a feature on my podcast because I always like to make fun of Reddit. Now, Reddit had a ton of video evidence on this place, which I can't even get into. I could
Yeah.
literally just blast my pages with just, I saw a shadow, I saw an apparition, here's a video of it, here's that.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay. So I have this, and it's called
Okay.
Mildly Scary Tales from Reddit.
Let's do it.
That's one of my features here.
Yeah.
So here's the two things. This is people saying this, okay? And I won't give out their names or anything. I'm just going to do a quote of them. All right.
Okay.
So, first quote. That shower room is 100% haunted. We were here today. There was a loud banging noise before we walked in, so we figured someone is in there doing something. But when we got in there, the noise immediately stopped and the room was totally empty. Then we walked back and the noise started again.
Oh my God. That's very, like, that's intelligent. It's like, oh, we've
Exactly.
been caught. Everybody be quiet. Okay, continue.
Now, something interesting to this. Part of the thing I did not put it is this long quote, but the people who were there, one of the people were in the Navy, and they had to learn Morse code. So when the guy said he walked out and he turned like his brother or something, his brother said, who was in the Navy, said, "That's Morse code." And
Does he
they
know
were
what it
like,
was
"What?"
saying?
Help.
Oh
He kept on saying, "Help, help,
my God,
help,
that's so
help, help."
sad.
Yeah.
And you got to think,
So in
like,
the showers, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, is it like, I hate to say, I feel like people, like, that's the place if you're going to get, like, shivved, it's going to
Hmm.
be in the bathroom. That's really sad.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yes. Yes. That was the worst place you do not want to be in. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I went through a lot of pictures from Reddit. That was the best one, believe it or not, because, as paranormal investigators, we respect each other, obviously. We
Mm-hmm.
do know when it's just like dust or humidity or
Yeah.
something like that. That's what I saw a lot of. Like, oh, that's just dust. That's not an orb. It's a
Yeah. I was
dust
going to
flame.
say, when you
Yeah,
brought it up, like, mildly scary stories,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, with all of the photo evidence, I'm sure there's few and far between that are actually legitimate. And
Correct.
I'm sure these people are well meaning, like saying
Yeah, yeah,
like you said, maybe dust or like say a bug that's kind of further off in the distance that may look like an orb.
yeah.
Um,
Correct.
Obviously, if you're not like as into this as you and I are, let's say,
Yeah. Hmm.
then you may not know any better. So you might be
Right.
posting this online, and to you and me, it's obvious that it's
Yeah.
not an orb,
Yeah. Correct.
but to them, maybe not. So I think
No.
that's
Right.
telling. Not all of
Yeah.
the evidence, I guess, that's coming out of here is going to be real, but I'm sure there is some evidence that's coming out that is.
Absolutely. And there was some I saw that was really interesting, taken from more experienced people like ourselves, uh, ghost adventures, ghost walk people.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things I want to do is EVPs one day, so maybe we'll do a joint show or something like that. Because
Cool.
there were some EVPs that were pretty good. That
Yeah.
were that like help me, murder you. I heard murder you, help
Ooh.
me, die, um, swearing like "f you."
Oh.
Just a lot of, you could hear it clearly, like die. Like I heard die clearly,
And I'm
like
assuming
murder.
there wasn't like any sort of like caption. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to listen. That's when I
Mm-hmm.
find like EVPs or the spirit box is more,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say accurate, but it's easier to kind of be like, this is like true evidence when you can hear something and it's not like I'm watching a show or a YouTube video where someone's giving me the
Mm-hmm.
caption. Like I can just hear it and
Right.
you don't need to caption it. That's
Right.
when I feel like it's really compelling evidence.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
So last but not least, I love this. Um, I saw some comments from the Ghost Walk, so you can comment on their page. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So me and you, we totally missed this, Courtney. Totally missed this. It's one of those you just go, that is genius. How do you come up with that name?
Hmm.
Grave Addiction. That is his handle. Grave
That's
Addiction.
amazing.
Right. Grave Addiction. What did I think of that?
I want to go follow them. That's awesome.
Yes. Um, so he said, there's a couple from him in here. He said, I just got back from visiting Mansfield and we had an experience in the cell marked with an X. So there are cells, and for reasons why, I didn't want to get too down a rabbit hole, but there's like an X on the cell. Nobody knows, in the cell, excuse me, nobody knows why there's an X, just an X. So when they said they were going past the cell and everything, the tour guide was like, hey, this is the X cell, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the guide, I guess, went silent, and it sounded like running, and it sounded like there was somebody running towards them near the X cell, okay? And then they said they heard a voice, and they don't have the EVP of this, which I wish they did, because this is a great EVP, excuse me. The voice said, running is not allowed.
Oh my God.
That's what they heard.
The lifeguard. No running by the pool.
Yeah. They heard,
oh my God.
clear as day, running is not allowed. And then someone saw not the X cell, but a distant cell door slam. So this is my favorite thing after this, really quickly, then I'll have you comment on it. So after that happened, like I said, they're looking at it, and the guide is saying, this is the X cell, blah, 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 blah. They hear the voice. When they hear the running, they hear the voice, slam the door, and then they said they looked over at the guide who was doing the tour. He was soaking with sweat. Like he was
God.
terrified.
And he does the tour as a job? So that's
job.
Not like that's his like full-time gig?
Maybe. Or even
maybe, yeah, he does
matter.
it. Yeah, he does it enough. My main thing was, just to clarify, so they heard the voice saying no running allowed audibly in their ears. That is, I mean, it would have been an insane EVP, but like imagine the power that spirit had to just say that and make it an audible voice out loud just for everyone to hear. That's nuts.
That's awesome. And I love EVPs.
Cool.
It's really cool. So, Grave Addiction again. I guess Grave Addiction must be addicted to going this tour.
I want to know if that like a creator. Sorry, continue.
I'm not really sure. I was going to look them up, and then this is from like, I don't know, probably like 5-6 years ago.
Oh.
On the Ghost Walks thing. So it's not like it's recent. It's fairly, well, I should say, 5, I guess, too bad. But anyway, so his quote again was, God, what a night. I wonder if this happened on the same night. When I read it to you, you'll be like, damn, this guy had...
Yeah, if it was all in one night, can you imagine? Okay.
I don't know. Okay, so our group was walking down metal stairs from the tower. My friend and I were in the back with some high school students in front. I'm clumsy and held tight to my friend's hand in the railing. Someone slapped my back. I fell forward into my friend, and it says, and over to the side of the railing, my arm clutched as my muscles pulled to a painful angle. Then down to a knee, I quickly spun around to face my attacker. No one was there.
Oh, my God. That is like...
crazy, right?
If that happened all in one night, like that must have been like a full moon or something to make it...
Right.
Like, or maybe they had just like something that could like pull energy from, because like, number one, like I said, you have the audible voice downstairs.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then to have someone not only like push you, but grab you and kind of whip you around like that, that takes some like strength from a normal like living person.
Correct.
Whoa.
Remember, people have been punched, they've been slapped, they have been pulled. This is a tip of the iceberg, okay? We could go on for another 2 hours or more with all this stuff. So
I need to go here. That's all I
yes,
can think about is like, I just want to go
I'll
to this
send you the
place.
yeah, I'll send you the blood thing, and you'll go,
Okay.
oh my god, I'm totally. Um,
Books tour.
so in 2007, Michelle, I'm sorry, it's a boring name, but okay. Um,
It's going to be hard to follow grave addictions
Grave
anyways.
addiction, yeah, it's hard on that one.
Yeah.
So this is great because she actually worked there. So I worked
Okay.
in Mansfield last year and was assigned to the hole. God dang, that's scary. And another girl in the empty space on opposite ends. So actually, this must be two of them, two girls
I
in
can't
the.
imagine that you would send one person on a post and
Yeah,
set like, you know what I mean? Like you just for like safety, you would need to have two
yeah.
people.
I
Even if
yeah,
it wasn't haunted, like what if
absolutely,
something happened?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So they heard shuffling around in the hallway, thinking it was visitors who didn't know we were there. I looked over to the other girl and smiled as if to say, let's scare them. She smiled back. She's into it, which is fine. So they both jumped out and screamed. The hallway was empty
Oh.
and the shuffling gone. Nobody was there.
They were the ones who actually got scared.
Yeah, they were like the ones go. I could see it, like two teenage girls, yeah, just being like, "Hey, let's get them, let's get them. This crowd, we'll have fun with them." Blah! Oh, there's nobody
Yeah.
here.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they scared the spirit. Spirit, can you imagine? Like it's just walking down the hall and just like, oh shit, like that was my other. I had two initial reactions. One, they're the ones getting scared, but two, maybe the ghost was scared too. It's like, why did you
um,
do that? Minding my
so
own business.
guides and stuff. Just kind of wrapping up here. Guides who have been, they get it. I guess they get assigned. Like it's a rotation. Like, oh, okay, you're the East Wing, you're the blah blah. So people, literally, what they said. I just found this when I was going through Reddit. I thought it was funny. This guy said, "I worked at Mansfield during the summer job." I'm like, what a great summer job!
I
I had
know.
stupid summer jobs like mowing lawns.
I had
Anyway,
like, I would love, even though I will say my like college job was at a haunted vet.
oh,
Like, it was just like a vet's office, but like there was something that we caught on camera that was like a shadow figure that was going back and forth in like our like
oh,
surgery suite. And there was like
wow.
security cameras in there. So like I've worked in a haunted place, but not somewhere where it's like the whole purpose is being haunted. And I would love that. I would love to work somewhere like that. That would be
That's what
so
I
cool.
said. That's what I said. So anyway, they had these people who have been down there. They all like do the same thing, like flip a coin. They'll be like, "Okay, heads, you get it. No, I don't want it." Like they literally have to like beg people to go down there and do
Oh
it.
geez.
So this one guy, he lost the bet. He went down there, and again, he heard shuffling noises, and then he heard like inside the hole, he heard like a
No.
person like breathing. So he thought it was like somebody in there, like
A
because
real
he was
life, like
really
a
concerned.
human, a,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
live
he's really
person.
concerned. Like, yeah, like a tour, something happened, right?
Hmm.
So as soon as he goes in there, the door slams.
No.
Now they did something smart. I don't know if you know this, like at grocery stores. Like I worked at a grocery store a long time.
Hmm.
Well, so you don't get caught in there. They have a panic button, or they have like a switch you can do to open the door.
Oh
Okay,
wow. Okay.
because your cell phone service does not work down there. So
Well,
even if you have, oh,
obviously.
why don't you grab your cell and call somebody, right? I'm stuck. So they actually have things set up you can get out of there. But he said he was in there for a few seconds, and it just felt like someone was enveloping him, like a blanket. You know how you might take a
Hmm.
blanket when you're cold and you wrap it around yourself?
Oh,
That's
that's
what he
eerie.
felt like. Yeah,
That's eerie.
yeah.
That
So
is
that was
so.
the only. Yeah, all the other stories are like, I don't go in there. I'm not going in there. I forget it. No way. So
I don't think I'd be able to
that
go down there by myself. I would go down there,
No,
but not alone.
not alone.
Especially
Never
after
do
that. Because that to me
it.
sounds like something's trying to, like, attach itself
Never
to
gonna happen.
you.
Yeah,
I hate
never gonna
that.
happen. Never, ever,
I hate
ever,
it.
ever. Uh, so, like I said, there's a bunch of tours you can take. You can take the haunted tour. I believe it goes from September, late September or mid September to Halloween, obviously. You can
Hmm.
see the Shawshank Redemption tour. They have all the movie props there. You can walk around there. You can take numerous ghost tours. But most people are like, yeah, I'm one and done. Like nobody goes back
Hmm.
unless they're like us. We're like, I want to go back again. Come on.
Like, I just
It's
want to begin haunted places. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it's like I said, look at it, and you'll like me and Courtney said. I think it's gorgeous. I think it looks like this old timey castle.
It's really
That
unsuspecting that it
yeah,
would be. I mean, like, it's a beautiful building.
yeah,
Like architecturally just very, very breathtaking, but like
yes,
you wouldn't think that all of that tragedy happened there. And
no,
like from what it sounds like there are hundreds of ghosts. So
yes. And I'm the
spooky.
tip of the iceberg. This is the tip. So, that's just to let you know that. And like I said, Dairyland Frights at gmail.com. If you had an experience there, send it to us.
For sure.
That would be really great. So I have to ask, because I always ask this at the end of my podcast, do you believe it's haunted, Courtney?
Yeah, you would have to.
Has
I
to be.
mean, I have, like I said, I kind of take a skeptical look at some of the stories or most of the stories that I talk about on my podcast, not to
Mm-hmm.
discredit them, but just to look at
No,
both
no, no.
sides. And there are some where I have found like hard evidence where I know that this is just hearsay. But if you
Right.
have, you know, photo evidence, like you said, EVPs, and just like that many eyewitness accounts and people that are actually like pushed,
Yeah.
you can't like make that feeling up. So yeah, I
No.
think it has to be.
Has to
It
be.
has to be.
So that's a double yes.
Yeah.
That's a double yes. So, Courtney, this is great. I hope you really liked this. I hope you were
Yeah.
surprised by this and maybe learned something along the way.
I did. I feel like, I mean, when we started talking about it, I definitely have heard of like the hole before. And I
Mm-hmm.
also heard, like I said, towards kind of the beginning when you were talking about like the cells, I knew that that was like that they would like shove people essentially into these tiny cells. So, but like for the most part, I hadn't heard a lot about that. So that was really fun for me and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. I love being on the Haunts podcast. It
Well,
was so
thank
much
you.
fun. Hopefully, we can do this in the future.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you that Phoebe lady,
Yeah,
the hermit, and you can look at it. Tell me what you think. If that's something we want to do a joint thing, that'd be awesome. You want to cut whatever.
for
It's
sure.
just so awesome. But again, I love learning so much about you, Courtney. This is so much fun, and hopefully we
Thank
can do
you.
this again sometime. As far as Dairyland Frights, again, you can follow me on Instagram and YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all those great sites. You listen to Dairyland Frights wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. So, Courtney, is there anything you want to add before we call it a spooky
Um,
night?
n- no, I mean, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HauntsCast. And then once again, my website is hauntscast.com, and you can contact me on the contact form there if you have any insights to what we talked about today, especially how to get the ghost to stop locking me out of my house. That would be sick, but
And by the way,
other than
Courtney has
that,
some Courtney has some amazing stories, some personal experiences. So please take a look at that.
thank
We
you.
always end. I always end this podcast by telling your ghost you say hi. So I will say hi from Courtney if I bump into a ghost, or you can say hi from
Oh,
Courtney from John too. If you have a ghost in your house, hey, tell them hi from Courtney and
I
John.
mean, you can tell them hi, I'm sure, right now.
Hi, ghost.
For real,
Okay,
yeah. I mean, they're around
awesome.
somewhere.
Thank you so much. This has been a great experience. I love it, and hopefully sometime we do this in the future.
For sure. I really appreciate it. And thanks so much for having me. That was a blast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, stay spooky, everybody.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to stop this, and then it should process, and I'll be able to send you a link